Hello, Rob from Fountain Pen Journey with my review of the TWSBI Precision fountain pen. Now, for most of my fountain pen journey I have been aware of the TWSBI Eco. So I've had 3 years of knowing about the Eco, buying different versions of the TWSBI Eco and bypassing certain other ones. Some of the demonstrator fountain pens like the VAC 700 and all the rest, more expensive, haven't really interested me. This pen somehow went under my radar, and I like grey fountain pens, and I do have a bit of a continuation of this grey fountain pen theme going on at the moment. So the TWSBI Precision really does fall into this grey fountain pen category. It's essentially a gunmetal, brushed gunmetal colour with chrome accents, and it looks very, very industrial indeed. Really, really interesting. The clip is shockingly similar to the I think it's the Caran 365 or something like that. Very, very similar design, and this is somehow sort of, I don't know, inserted into the cap up here. And when you look at this pen, it doesn't actually look like a fountain pen. TWSBI have actually created a fountain pen which, it's a very unique looking design, apart from the clip, which seems to have been borrowed from Caran. Looks a bit like it should be a ballpoint. You might be able to click that or something, but no, it's a fountain pen, screw cap fountain pen. So let's look over the pen top to bottom. We'll start at the end of the cap. Now we've got this jewel inserted up here, TWSBI logo, which is quite nice. Some ways I wish that it wasn't red, because it really does detract from the rest of the pen, but it's not terrible, and at least it's a proper jewel and not just some plain plastic red insert. There is this silver coloured finial. The hexagonal cap and barrel of the pen, it does taper down slightly towards the ends, ever so slightly. The clip, really interesting looking, modern, contemporary clip, which is pretty stiff, not particularly springy, but a very interesting design nonetheless. I quite like that. There's no tapering, it's the same diameter all the way across, from the cap to the barrel, all the way down where it goes to this finial down here, this chrome finial with TWSBI Taiwan Precision laser etched onto the end there. And I like it. I like the look of the pen, I like the feel of the pen, and I think it's, definitely worthy of more attention. So let me just use my comparison Lamy Safari, or All-Star Vista rather, Lamy Vista in this case. Pretty much the same. Uncapped. Pretty much the same. This pen does post, and it fits on really securely. And there are a couple of rubber O-rings on the end there, which even hold the cap in position, and as you can see, slightly longer than the Lamy Vista there. Oops, completely missed the cap. So let's uncap this and look at the nib. So we've got a TWSBI nib. This is a medium nib, so it's relatively small, I'd have said, for the size of the pen. Difficult to change. It looks like a number 5 nib. I would say that, perhaps a number 6 might have looked a bit more in keeping with the industrial design. Black plastic feed underneath. Metal section, same gunmetal brushed finish as the rest of the pen. Now, that section for some people is going to be slippery, especially as it's brushed this longitudinal direction here. So that could be slippery for some people. There's no flare out on it, there's nothing, it is just straight. So might not be for everybody. There is a step up to the barrel and the threads, which you can, they're not sharp at all. No part of this pen is sharp, no part of it gets in the way, so you could hold it up here, and you could hold it way up here, and you know, it's comfortable wherever you hold it. So kudos to TWSBI for designing that. There is an ink window there because this is a piston filling fountain pen. So you know, you unscrew the turning knob and suck the ink up into the barrel. So it's a piston filler. Capping is really actually quite nice because there is a resistance at the end where it seals, and I believe there might be an O-ring just providing an extra bit of lateral pressure inside the cap. So let's see how many turns the cap takes to come off. About 3/4 of a turn. And when you're screwing it back on, it's, you know, it's loose, you can feel the threads, they're very smooth, really smooth threads, and then suddenly you get this resistance and it just falls into position, and thankfully the facets all line up, so that's really, really good. Posted, I'll just slide that on there. This pen becomes back heavy. It's not terrible, but it's not great. I don't think I'd want to write with it posted, it becomes a little bit long, but unposted, nice length, not too long, not too short, decent length, comfortable to hold, apart from that potentially slippery section there. So let's get my Rhodia pad and show you how this pen writes. Make sure I'm spelling precision correctly. Don't want to look like an idiot in front of millions of people. Precision. As far as I'm aware, it's only available in this sort of gunmetal finish. So there we have that bit. I will talk about the nib in a minute because you do need to know something. The ink is diamine grey, so I went for a grey ink for this grey coloured fountain pen. Grey inks are a bit of a thing with me because I love the idea of a grey ink, and every time I use a grey ink I always think, oh, I wish I'd used a black ink. You know, you want the blackest of blacks, or I want the blackest of black inks, and this just kind of grey. So, but it's a good match for the pen. I'll talk about the nib in a moment because, as you can see, that's wet enough. I'd say that's medium to wet. And reverse writing is dry, scratchy, not good. Oof, horrible, horrible. No. Reverse writing, just about possible, but no. So back to this nib. Medium TWSBI nib. Now, I've usually found that TWSBI nibs tend to be, medium nibs at least, tend to be quite wet and decently broad. This particular nib, and there are, you know, differences from nib to nib, this is a medium nib, but it's writing a little bit on the fine side. It's, as you can see, it's wet enough, but it is, in my opinion, just a little bit towards fine rather than medium. It certainly writes well. It's smooth, very nicely smooth. There is a little bit of feedback, and it lays down ink without any issues whatsoever. So it could just be the nib. I'm not going to say it's the pen, because if you're in the market for an industrial designed TWSBI fountain pen, piston filling fountain pen, then I don't think you can really go too far wrong with the TWSBI Precision. It's a really, really nicely designed pen. It's not massive as far as girth goes. I mean, it's, you know, it's not a huge, thick, hulking pen. So it maintains that element of, I don't know, industrial business, that sort of design aesthetic, which I really do appreciate. It's certainly an interesting design, quite unique, and looks a bit different to everything else out there on the market, which is always a good thing. So there we have it, a review of the TWSBI Precision, which, to be honest, I recommend. A little bit more price-wise than the TWSBI Eco, but it makes quite a nice change to write with a TWSBI which isn't, you know, just coloured. This is a nice grey, industrial designed fountain pen. So hope you found that it was useful to see this video, because I don't really see many of these, hear about many of these being used. The TWSBI Eco and the other TWSBIs, yeah, very popular fountain pens, but the TWSBI Precision doesn't seem to get an awful lot of love, and I think it's a great pen. I love the design, and it writes really well. I'm sure if I swapped out this nib for a different medium TWSBI nib, it would be writing broader, and, you know, I'd be more sort of, it would be more appealing for my taste. But nothing wrong with it at all. I really like it. Love the design of the pen. So thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you next time. Bye.